Paul Rustin. I'm here on the campus of Thomas Jefferson High School, and I'm just going to go through and show you some things about me.
Hello, I'm Anna Dobbs, Paul's favorite sister.
I'm David Rustin, Paulie's older brother.
And favorite brother.
Correct.
Paulie was born on Wednesday, December 5th, 1962, the day of confidence, in Syracuse, New York.
Just a small town girl.
We always got along, and all of the siblings always got along.
Yeah, he liked to talk. He was always involved in everything. He had a little piece of everything going on. He liked to play around.
One of my favorite memories of him is how he would be playing basketball by himself and narrating what was happening at the same time, which in my mind leads directly to what he would be doing later as a coach at races.
Yeah, that was 1972, the Summer Olympics. So anyway, our neighborhood was filled with kids, so we decided to have our own Olympics. Paulie did the distance run, which was around the block. He was probably the youngest, because he was the youngest in the neighborhood. So I'm standing in my driveway, which is exactly one house away from the finish line, and I look coming up the street, and there's a teenager who was older than me, and Paulie right on his heels. And I was shocked. And had the race gone 10 more feet, Paulie would have won. But he lost by half a step to a teenager. And he was either probably 9 or 10. And that's how he finally found his sport for something that he could do. He couldn't wait to get to junior high school. So he ran 7 through 9, which was junior high. And then from 10 through his senior year, and he was captain of the cross-country team his senior year. And all his friends, the group of friends that he hung out with were all runners as well.
They'd be running through Drumlin's golf course, and people would always know that it was him because Paulie would be the only one talking. He could talk while running, and he was famous for that.
That time period was when the Big East basketball and ESPN had just started. And so I worked nights, and I would come home late at night, and he'd be on the couch watching Australian rules football on ESPN, ping pong. I mean, it certainly wasn't like it was now. It was on ESPN, he was watching.
From Rochester Institute, Paul Rustin, and from UW South, Todd Fox.
So Paul actually began running for RIT before I did. That would have been 1981. And I believe we both graduated in 1986. He was a friend. He was a running teammate. And we were extremely close. The whole team was really close over the 4 years that I ran with Paul and a bunch of the other guys who still remain tight to this day. So we were co-captains. We spent thousands of hours together running, thousands of hours, like on buses and going on trips. So he was somebody that always made me laugh. He had an incredibly infectious laugh that sometimes he would laugh so hard he could barely breathe. Everybody on the RIT cross-country team got a nickname. The first day they showed up, the story that I heard was, he showed up and he just reminded people of a mouse. He just reminded people of a mouse. It just was organic. One guy said, "You're Mouse," and it stuck. And it stuck for, I still call him Mouse to this day, with my buddies. My first impression of Paul, like many people, is he was a little goofy. Like he would wear polo shirts when he went running, and everyone else wore, tank tops or no shirt or a t-shirt. And he wore these striped polo shirts, and he caught a lot of flack for it from the guys. But he wasn't afraid to be different. When I first met Paul and I was running, he really wasn't that good of a runner. I will share with you that he became a great runner. like one of the hardest working runners I've ever known. Like he went from being a mediocre runner who was kind of goofy, not all that serious, to being the most serious, the most dedicated, the hardest worker, the successful. He had multiple All-Americans, won the Maccabee Games, and you couldn't help but be inspired by that. And really, we all upped our game. And that's one of the big reasons I think we ended up being third in the NCAAs. There was a lot of great chemistry and he was inspiring. We had a blast. Those were some of the best years of my life. But he was a multiple All-American runner in both track and cross country. While he was at RIT, he certainly was our top runner when I was there. He made he dreamed big. He made a plan. Eat to win, swimming, working out like mad, and he showed up every frickin' day to do it. And in the end, the results came, and we were all inspired by it.
Paul Rustin, Rochester Institute of Technology, now the leader with just under 4 laps to go. Second qualifying.
So Paul and I first met in Alaska in like 1994, maybe. I moved up to Alaska after I graduated from college, and so that's when I met Paul, because Paul was in Team Alaska, and yeah, we were just kind of like teammates for Team Alaska after that. He was a super good runner. Like I didn't know him that well, and it was a very small club. I mean, the club had more people, but it only had like 6 people that trained all year round in the snow and stuff. So those guys, and Paul was one of them for sure, like no shortcuts ever. Like if you were supposed to run an hour, you ran an hour. When I met those guys, Paul was running 100 miles a week in Alaska. Like, and that was like through the winter. Like he would get up in the morning and run in the dark to school, because it's dark all the time in the winter there. And he would run to school in the dark, like 8 miles. Then after school, we'd go like 7, 8, 9 miles, and he would do that. Just like so tough, and never complained or anything. Like just like, hey, that's how you get fast. Like that's no shortcuts. We did this crazy trail run in Alaska called the Crow Pass Trail, and you start in one town and you end in this other town, and you run like steep trails. You ran across kind of a glacier, like a big snowfield. Then you had to go through this freezing cold river, but it was like a 30-mile run. Neither of us brought any food or water. Like we were so dumb. I remember when he tried to qualify for the trials, because back then you had to run under 2:22, and he was training in Alaska. And he went to a marathon in Alabama called the Rocket City Marathon. And I think he ran 2:23. Like he wasn't that far off. And training in Alaska in the winter, it's really hard to run fast, because the footing's always so bad. So all of the workouts were inside of high school, like in the carpeted hallways. And then his just passion for like doing whatever it takes to like have a great team. Like, we would give up a lot of our summertime to take kids to Montana, and we both just love doing it. What can we do to make this the best team we can, and to provide like a really great experience for the kids? And he just loved buying Lululemon stuff for his girls' team and making sure like TJ had like the best uniforms. But he just wanted his teams to have the best. Like, he wanted to give them what he thought they deserved, And he put like his heart and soul into it, like he really did, all the time. I didn't really get to know him though till like close, until he moved to Seattle. I kind of talked him into moving down here, because I'm like, oh, running here is so much better, and like you don't have to run in the snow. And he's like, yeah, I'm going. So he moved.
Dream on, dream on, dream on, dream it out and dream come true.
He was in Washington for a little over a year when we hired him at TJ. He wanted to coach, obviously. He found out about the opening at TJ for the track position, which is where he was first hired. And that was in the spring of 2000. I was an involved parent. They asked me to be, the AD at the time asked me to be on the hiring committee as a parent. We had several, nominees and stuff that came in. And when Coach Rustin came in, he came in on a suit and just with all these props and all kinds of, interesting stuff that he clearly knew what he was doing. He clearly was the best candidate, in my opinion. So he got the job. And so then he was the head girls coach for track starting that spring, 2000. But the photography job at TJ came open that fall because the photography teacher was also the cross country coach and he was retiring. So the photography job and the cross country head position came open the fall of 2000. When we were hiring for the cross country position, it needs to be continuity between track and cross country to have the same person coaching distance. It's really important for the team development and stuff. So I hired Paul. So he was the head cross country coach then. And I just helped out that first year, and then I got hired as the assistant the next year. My favorite memories were the travel trips. We went to Montana, California. We went to Woodbridge 10 to 12 times over the years, and then the state trips. We did go to state every year. The night before the state meet, in the hotel room, we'd had a meeting, but Coach would read Mother Said, and it was a book of poems from a Jewish mom, and he had heard about it on a radio show or something like that, and went out and bought it, and ever since then he'd read that to the athletes the night before the state meet, and it was just a fun time. It was a fun time. Those trips really made us more like a family. He was coach of the year, I can't even count how many times, cross country and track. Hall of Fame, we got coach of the year that Kenna won state. He was very creative. He was always thinking of different things to do to enhance his, the team aspect. And the book we made every year for the athletes, and then the awards. He created such a high level of accomplishment in what he did and everything. He was just an average runner for all through high school and everything. But he got a whole lot better through high school. And his high school coach called the RIT coach, and because they weren't going to take him, and said, "You need to take a chance on this guy. He's going to be good." And so I did, and I never regretted it. He really rose to the occasion. But he just always saw himself as a runner, and he always wanted to be the best that he could be. And one of the things he always said to his athletes was, "How much do you want it?" And that's something that he lived by. If you want something, you got to go after it. Our goal from the start when we started coaching was to have people that would continue to love running and continue to run into their adulthood, and I think we've succeeded pretty good with that.
Well, Paul Rustin was more than a coach to me. He was a friend, a father-like figure, a mentor, a brother, a co-worker, and someone who I could always just count on with anything I needed. I went out for cross country to get in shape for wrestling and really knew nothing about running, but here's this guy fitting the part. I think that, a lot of what he gave to this sport was memories that we would take with us. And by being able to capture this time of our lives through photography and show the importance of it, they really complemented each other very well. What he put into his coaching, he equally put into his classes. His class, I've always said, was the most popular class at TJ. I was there from day one when he took over the cross country program, and just being a part of that program 100% changed the course of my life. Just really enjoying life right now, and all 100% because I stuck with cross country and chose that path. Cross country is one of those sports that family is a huge part of it. We learned so much on how to live life through each other. I now pay it forward with my students here at this school here, and I feel like my kids, as a result, my 600 plus kids every year are, through his teachings, they're going to have a better career as a result of what I'm pushing on and instilling with them. And so I think that his legacy will live on through his athletes.
He was part of our family, kind of like a mentor and also a friend. And then to my kids, he certainly was like a grandfather. I think in our family, he was really playful and funny. He always enjoyed making the kids laugh. He had jokes for them. He had a very particular sense of humor. And so they were silly, but also sophisticated, if that makes sense. So I always appreciated his sense of humor. You know, he was there to support my mom, and he was her constant companion, and that was important because my sister and I didn't live nearby, so they spent a lot of time together. They were there for each other. She had somebody. I would turn to him for advice on running in particular. Obviously, he and my mom are the experts. They always had good advice. We were friends and having lots of conversations about many topics. Great to watch them be successful coaches. They took anybody where they were and they tried to have them achieve as much as they could. They tried to grow individuals. Anybody who walked in, tried to turn them into champions if they could. So they were really, really invested in each kid's story. When he talked about a legacy, he talked about his students, his former athletes, and current athletes. So it was really his coaching, I think, that mattered the most to him, and that's what he would want to be remembered for.
I remember one of the seniors telling me, the reason that he is so strict is because he cares so much about running. There's no one on the team that loves running as much as him, so that it just means the world to him. I think that over time we built trust with him, and even the way he went to each person every day and asked how our day was, those type of gestures just show how devoted that he is to our running career, but also our personal lives. More than anything, the way he chose to motivate us was through team culture. I think my senior year, the team culture became very we would do it for the team more than just running for a time. I still haven't met anyone as passionate as he was. He just poured his soul into it, and the fact that he chose to pour his soul into it into the next generations, I think was just very inspirational. I think I'm just very grateful. He's one of the TJ icons, running icons, but at TJ, I think during and even now looking back with my time with him, I continue to be inspired by him, and I think that we're just very lucky.
I remember him telling me that all he wanted to do was take pictures and run. I entered for my freshman year. I actually begged him to let me join the team because I joined late. He seemed to believe in myself more than I believed in me more than I believed in myself. And I think that's what it takes for a lot of role models or adult figures in your life, is for them to see something in you, for you to even recognize that there's something deep down that you can share and bring out. Coach Rustin was so invested in portraying our team as strong and tough, showing that he put care into this team and that our team was going to make an impression. His intense dedication for himself as an athlete, as a runner, and it translated very well into him being a coach. And so that kind of tough love, that kind of you're going to do it, even if you think you can't, you're going to do it. And that's that type of mindset he translated to for us athletes. He was making us not just better athletes, but just better people. One day he came to me and said, "Marcella, I have this dream." And then he brought up the idea of the foundation.
Rustin Family Foundation is a nonprofit that was Coach Rustin's vision and dream. He really wanted to be able to continue to support athletes, and he wanted to put all of his hard work, all of his money, his assets into something that was going to continue to progress his mission and his life's purpose, which was to help athletes when he was here with us. And now that he's not, he has the ability to continue to help athletes. So the foundation's mission is just to enhance and educate both Washington State cross-country athletes and their families about cross-country. So we're enhancing their meet experiences, but also just their overall experiences as cross-country athletes. And another big part is that promotion and education piece to support athletes in their journey and to really make cross-country memorable, because it's such a special sport and it doesn't get half the love that it deserves. And so the foundation is really, it's his vision, and I think it's his legacy too.
The cancer was very aggressive.
It felt like time slowed down.
But to see all the people he impacted come out and really share their love for him was really powerful.
Paul Reston passed away I was notified at 5:30 a.m. on August 8th, 2023.
Before I lay me down to sleep, pray the Lord my soul to keep. Hope's not too light for me. Whoa. Before I lay me down to sleep, pray the Lord my soul to keep. Hope's not too light for me. Whoa. Difference changing in the distance. Time consumes the image. Whoa. Difference changing in the distance. Time consumes our image. Whoa.
As almost all of you know, I coached with Coach Ruston here at TJ for the last 23 years. And it was an amazing experience. He was an awesome mentor. I want to make sure that you guys are aware that he set up a foundation that helps promote high school cross country.
There's no stopping curiosity.
What's up?
We'll sing and dance to Mother Nature's songs. I don't want this feeling to go away. Who's to say I can't do everything? Well, I can try. And as I roll along, I begin to find things aren't always just what they seem. I wanna